Hey guys, welcome back to the Juice Reacts channel, and today I've got a special one for you. I've been teasing it for a little bit now. I've been asking your guys' advice on a few different things, and I finally put together my top 10 list of High School Musical, the musical, the series ships. That is right. We are going to be ranking them from 10 to 1. Who do you think I'm gonna put at number one? I wonder who could it be? Out of all of the relationships that are in this series, I wonder if anyone could guess who my number one is gonna be. And if you do guess it, well then good on you, you know me pretty well. And yes, it is Rini. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding before you guys get your pitchforks and your torches. It's not Rini. We'll get to that in a second. But I do want to preface this by saying I'm going to have some honorable mentions on here because this list comprises all of the ships that are actual, they dated. These are relationships that actually either fictionally dated, like they were a fake couple, we'll get to that, or they actually did date for a time period. So this is not like, oh, fans had put together these relationships like EJ and Ricky. That relationship's not going to be on here. Same that along those kind of lines, where like it's a fan relationship thing that they put together two characters that they thought would be good together. Those are not included in my list. Maybe that becomes its own list in the future. Who knows? But this is just actual relationships that happened in the show. They were together, they dated, or they were perceived to be dating. So that I just want to say that right now in the beginning so that you guys know the path this list is going to take. So honorable mentions. This is gonna make some people throw up probably, which is exactly what I want. So honorable mentions. First up, we've got. I'm gonna say their ship name, and I have the ship name and who is a part of the ship in like parentheses, so I can keep track of everything basically. So honorable mention number one is Manny, and Manny is Mac and Danny. So season 4, Mac and Danny relationship. We don't really know how long they were dating. They never specifically say. We just know that they were a couple for at least a couple episodes. And then obviously they at some point they break up because then Mac, or maybe they weren't ever dating officially. Who knows? They never specifically say one way or the other. But then Mac obviously goes and wants to date Gina, and we go forward with the season. But Mac and Danny are going to be my first honorable mention because they were at least perceived to be dating, at least even if it was an online relationship, like two celebrities got together and said that they were dating online, but they never really were actually dating in real life. That could be what it was. I don't know, but they were perceived to be dating at least to an extent, so they're going to be an honorable mention. Number 2 honorable mention is Mina, which is Mac and Gina. Now we know that they never actually were dating, obviously. Mac wanted to say that he was dating with Gina online to help like boost up the ratings of the filming they were doing with the movie, and just kind of get some more attention, some more eyeballs on the product and stuff. So he proposed that idea to Gina, and then we know what happened in the season, but they were at least perceived to be dating online. They were going to be, and then obviously Gina stops that so that she can profess her love to Ricky, and Ricky can profess his love to Gina. So those two are the first 2 honorable mentions. The next honorable mention is Val and Ashlyn Vashlin, and these are all official ship names that I looked up on the High School Musical wiki, so, or the fandom wiki, whatever it's called. So these are official ship names. I didn't come up with these. Val and Ashlyn, I know that they never. This is the first one that kind of breaks my rule that I already established. But they never truly dated. They just Ashlyn had a crush on her in the summer camp. But I feel like they would have been a pretty decent couple if they were to actually get together. I don't know if Val actually had any romantic feelings for Ashlyn. We obviously know that Ashlyn did, but I don't know. I feel like they would have been a pretty decent couple. Obviously, the couple that we get later on is much better, but yeah, I feel like this one would have been a pretty good couple if they would have actually like went the distance and actually got together. But this one, unfortunately, does break my rule that I just established. But it's my rule. I can break whatever rule I want. If I said it, I can break it. The next entrant on the honorable mentions list is going to be, I don't know how to pronounce this ship name, Egenie? EJini? I don't know. It's going to be EJ and Nini, basically. So we know that they only dated for, I don't know, they were started dating, I think, officially at some point at the end of the summer camp, at the end of Shallow Lake. So probably they were dating for 3 months, 4 months, maybe at the max, before obviously EJ steals her phone. Then they break up because she can't trust him, and then all that stuff goes on. So they, I don't know how long they were officially dating for. They never really specifically say when they started dating. They just said that they started talking in the summer, and obviously they kissed in that tent. But I think that I'm assuming, we're going to assume that they started dating at some point around that end of that summer, and then they took him into the start of the year, and then obviously we know what happened. But they make the honorable mention list. They weren't good enough to get on the top 10. And the final list, this is the one where I said it might make you throw up a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if this is the actual ship name. This is my ship name for them because I just think it's hilarious. I think the actual ship name would be like Riley or Really or something. I would assume it'd be pronounced Really because of the way that both of their names are pronounced. But my ship name for them is Licky because it's just gross all around, and that encompasses the entirety of their relationship. It is Lily and Ricky. At the end of season 2, Lily confesses that she likes his big round hair for some reason, even though he doesn't have big round hair. I don't know. That's the dumbest line you could ever say. I don't know what the writers were thinking with that one. I like your big brown eyes and your big round hair. Like, what are you saying? What if somebody said that to me? I'd be like, okay, like, what are you talking about? Like, he doesn't have big round hair. He's got curly hair. He doesn't have big round hair. What even is big round hair? Like an afro? What is it? Like, I don't even know. So I put this one on here specifically with this ship name because I wanted to see your guys' reaction to it. So Licky, it just sounds gross just saying it, which encompasses their relationship because it was just a gross, not ever should have been a thing relationship. And I'm glad that it ended after 1 episode of season 3. So, or even a half episode of season 3. So I'm happy that it was over after that long. And it never should have happened in the first place, but it did. It's canonical and it's gross. So that is all of my honorable mentions. We can get to the top 10, the juiciness, the deliciousness of the top 10 list. I'm super excited. I hope you guys agree with me. Obviously, you don't have to. It's opinionated. That's the whole point. Number 10 on the list. Number 10 on the list is going to be the iconic season 1 ship, Ricky and Nini. I mean, I had to do it. Rini makes the top 10. I had to do it. I understand we've had plenty of conversations in the past on the live streams and in the community tab about how this relationship was doomed from the start when they got back together, and how Ricky's season 1 finale confession wasn't real, and how he didn't know what he really wanted at that point. He was still confused, and all this stuff. Like, we understand. We've gone through the talking points plenty of times, and we know that this relationship was never going to work out. It's not great. It's not a great relationship, but it is the iconic season 1 relationship. It is what season 1 is entirely built on, and you have to respect that. Even though we don't like the relationship, we don't think that either one of them were right for each other, and it was just a bad relationship from the start. But yeah, we have to acknowledge it. We have to at least rank it. That's why I put it at number 10. I didn't put it any higher. You can get your pitchforks down. I didn't put it any higher. It's number 10. There are other relationships on here that I arguably would put lower than this one, but I had to put this one at least on the list. And if I was going to put it on the list, I had to put it number 10. So number 9 on the list is only on this list because I needed relationships, and there wasn't a ton of relationships that actually dated in the show. Funny enough, there wasn't like that many that actually dated. So this one is going to be Cowie. Courtney and Howie make the list at number 9. I honestly wouldn't even put this one on the list, but like I said before, I needed more relationships, so I had to put this one on here. This one's just so weird to me because they date. I'm assuming they date from season 2, which takes place the second half of their junior years, Courtney's junior year, and then Howie's senior year. And then it goes, I'm assuming, into the summer, because in the season 3, Courtney, when she's doing the therapy session over the phone with her mom, she mentions how she's worried that Howie's still, like, he's gone off to college. He's probably kissing a bunch of girls now. So I don't know if they're still dating at that point, or if they broke up because Howie was going off to college. Like, I don't know how long they date or when the relationship ends, but they do date. that is a fact. They did date for at least a little bit. So they make the list number 9, and they make the list number 9 because they're not really anything there. I mean, it's like a typical, it's not even a typical high school relationship at the start. It's like a typical middle school relationship, because Howie in general is just a bland character. He has really no purpose in the season except for to be a foil to Courtney and to distract her a little bit in the season. He really has no personality. I hate to go this deep hating on Howie because he's a wonderful singer. Whoever the actor is, what's his name? Oh, I forget his actual name. Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's a wonderful singer. He's got a great voice, and his song that he sings to Courtney is amazing. Like just the lyric, or not the lyrics, the voice. His voice is just fantastic. So I'm not dogging him too much about him as a person. His character is completely just one-sided, bland, uneventful, not really noteworthy at all. He doesn't really do anything. He just works at the pizza place, and he's just there to basically distract Courtney for a couple episodes. So it is what it is. It is, but that's why I put this one at number 9, because it's not that good. It's not that good of a relationship. Number 8 on the list is the first Miss Jen relationship. It is going to be Jike. And I have to say that specifically so that YouTube doesn't demonetize me. Or I guess I'm not monetized right now, but doesn't flag me for inappropriate language. Jike is the name of the relationship. Miss Jen and Mike Bowen, if you didn't know, if you didn't get it from the ship name. It is the first relationship for Miss Jen. They meet on the homecoming episode at the bowling alley / karaoke parlor, whatever combination of buildings that is. And they date for a while, actually. They date from season 1. There's kind of like that flirting type of thing. And then obviously Mr. Mazzaro is also flirting with her a little bit. And then season 2, it ramps up a little bit more with the flirting, and then they actually date because they have that Valentine's Day date in her office. So season 2 is when they actually start dating. Then it goes all the way into season 3. They take that cruise, and then they come back in season 4. And then at the Halloween episode, they break up, which I've talked about how my feelings about that Halloween episode, and at least that scene in that Halloween episode, a bunch of times. So it's just Mike Bowen in that episode. I like Mike Bowen as a character. I think he's a good dad for Ricky. I think he's a good character. I like him. I enjoy him. I think he's funny and all that stuff. But that episode just gave me the ick on that. I did not like that at all. So I put them on this list because I do think that they were a good couple, but we always knew that the end game was Mr. Mazzara. So having them be like a filler relationship almost feels a little weird, but again, I mean, they were fine. They were cute together. They meshed really well with their personalities, at least a little bit. So I mean, it was a fine relationship, but we knew it was never gonna last. So that's why it fits at number 8 on the list. Number 7 on the list is another controversial one. I hate to do it to everybody because I know how we all feel about it. It's going to be Portwell. I had to do it. I'm sorry. I had to put Portwell on here because of the overwhelming fan base that Portwell has in the High School Musical, the series community. For some reason, I don't know why, we think that it's, or not we, I don't know why people think that it's a solid, good relationship. They just were never good together. They're like brother and sister, and that's gross. So, let's get into it. Obviously, we know it's Gina and EJ. The Portwell relationship did not get off to that great of a start because it starts with EJ and Gina, like, kind of, I don't know, talking a little bit more, and then the whole EJ not getting into Duke thing and not feeling like he deserved it when he did get in because of his dad, who is a douche, by the way. And then Gina, he goes over to Ashlyn's house to have Ashlyn console him, and then Gina happens to be there, and then she consoles him, and they have that little moment on the couch and everything. And it's a nice moment. I'm not going to deny that. It's a nice moment. And then it builds from there. Then they go to the spring break episode. EJ had left his Duke hoodie at her house, at Ashlyn's house, and Gina takes it on vacation with her, or at least to the airport. She never actually gets to go to vacation. She takes it to the airport with her, and then the whole thing progresses through the season. We get the whole risotto fiasco. I don't know what the whole risotto thing was about. I've talked about this before. Risotto is not a meal that you go to specifically for risotto. Risotto is a side dish. You don't go to a restaurant specifically for risotto. You get risotto on the side of whatever your main dish is, whether it's chicken or steak or fish or whatever meal you're going to have. You get risotto on the side. So I've talked about that plenty of times. But so the whole, do you want to go out for risotto? I understand that he was like nervous to ask her, and risotto was for some reason the first thing that popped into his head. But yeah, it never felt really right, the relationship between them. And then their season 2 finale kiss just feels awkward with the cuts back and forth. And I understand that Gina was underage in real life. Sophia Wiley was underage, and obviously Matt Cornett was above or over 21. So, and she was not 18 just yet. So, or he might not have been over 21, but she was not over 18 yet. So it was not legal for them to show him kissing her on camera. And it was also during the pandemic time, and it's just like feels awkward with these kisses or with these cuts. And then her saying at the beginning, she says, "EJ, will you be my first kiss?" And then he just smiles, and then they just cut back. And it feels awkward, and it feels rushed, and it doesn't really work too well. And then in season 3, we obviously know what happens with EJ being torn between trying to prove that he's doing what he wants to do, trying to get his dad on his side, and his dad's a douche, and he's not telling Gina everything, and that ticks off Gina, and then they get into the fight, and then she says that she feels like they're having completely different summers, and then you got the whole Ricky situation right there, who just wedges his way in again for another relationship that EJ's in. And obviously we know what happens there with they break up at the homecoming episode, or the prom episode, and then Gina goes on to date Ricky. But that the relationship's just not that good. Like, they never have that chemistry. They've got little moments here and there, but the moments don't add up enough to make you feel like it's worth them actually dating. And the chemistry doesn't feel that right, and it's just they don't ever. It's not. I don't. It's hard to explain. Portwell 1 is probably the most difficult to explain how it's not that good of a relationship. But we just, in our bones, we know that it's not a good relationship because we know that Gina and obviously EJ are meant for other people. So it just, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. That's why it's number 7 on the list. Number 6 on the list is going to be Redlyn. That's right, Big Red and Ashlyn. The odd relationship pairing, I shouldn't say odd, the traditional Disney pairing, basically, is how I would frame this relationship, in the beginning at least. Because if you guys are familiar with old school Disney, and by old school Disney I mean like the 2000s, the 2010s, Disney is known, at least back then, they were known for pairing people who were similar in background and in appearance, and they would put them together in a relationship. A blunt example would be if Disney had 2 black characters, a man and a woman, or a boy and a girl, I guess, because it would be a kid's relationship. A boy and a girl, they would put the 2 black kids together. That's how Disney worked. If they had 2 ginger characters, they would put them together. If they had two blonde characters, they would put them together. It's just how Disney worked back then. And I'm not saying that's right. Obviously, I'm not. That's not the way that it should happen. But that's just how Disney and Nickelodeon and all those companies worked back then, because that's how society was back then. So obviously we've improved for the better now, and we've got better relationships for it. So this one kind of feels along those lines, because obviously Big Red is kind of the dorky sidekick to Ricky. He's got the big red hair, well, not big red hair, but he's got the red hair, and he's kind of that funny comedic character. And then you've got Ashlyn, who kind of feels out of place. She's kind of like the nerdy outside character who does all the quirky things, like she's part of the LARPing community and all that kind of, like, you get the gist. That's why they feel like that's a good couple, is because they're similar in a lot of ways in terms of their character beats. So that's kind of why I feel like they were never destined to work out, because it's just a typical Disney relationship, basically, is how it was. But then we obviously grow with both of the characters throughout season 3 and season 4, and we learn that Ashlyn is bi. We learn that Big Red is bi, and those two things are wonderful because it grows their characters. Because before then, they just kind of, I mean, Ashlyn obviously is a great singer, but before that, we just didn't really, at least for me, I didn't really connect with their relationship too much. It was a fine relationship, but it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was everlasting, basically. And then we get on to season 3 and season 4, and we find out all this new information about them, and then obviously we get better relationships for it. But Redlyn, it's good enough to make top 6. It's just not any better than that, really. Number 5, the top 5. This is where all the relationships are going to be pretty much home runs at this point. So we've got ourselves number 5, Jen Zara. It's Miss Jen and Mr. Mazzara. I mean, this one is the endgame relationship for both of them. We knew from really season 1 that they were pretty much going to end up together. I know that we talked about earlier the Miss Jen and Mikey Bowen relationship kind of got in the way a little bit, but you always kind of knew, even though that Mr. Mazzara was horrible to Miss Jen in the season 1, and then in season 2 he starts to develop those feelings even harder for, and then obviously we don't see him at all in season 3, and then season 4 they have that chemistry and they get together at the very end. But we always knew that they were the end game for each other. So it took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but hey, it is what it is. Number 4 on the list. Man, Ahmed's going to hate me for this. I have number 4 on the list is Jetney. Jet and Courtney. Okay, let me explain. Number 4 is Jetney because they don't really do anything. They have all these little moments, like in season 3 when Jet says, "Can I be Team Courtney on this?" just out of the blue, when they're doing the Real Campers episode, and he has little moments in there where he just like supports Courtney, which is awesome, but they don't really do anything with that. And then they also have the episode where Corbin it's the episode with it's the Camp Rock style episode. It's the Color War. I forgot the name of it. It's Color War, where Corbin comes in with the night vision. He wakes everybody up. Jet comes out of off the top bunk in his little stuffed duck, like falls on the floor, and Courtney sees it, and she's like, "Cool duck," or something like that. So they had little moments in season 3, and then in season 4 we obviously learn Jet's true feelings for Courtney, but nothing really. He's kind of just like awkward, embarrassing, which is how a teen would act when he has a crush on a girl. But like, there's never really any finality to that relationship. It's kind of just left out in the open. It's kind of left like, oh, are they gonna get together? Because isn't it, who is it that says, is it Ashlyn? No, it's Gina. Gina says it when she's giving her goodbye speech, and she goes like one by one through all the main characters. She says to Jet, "You better ask Courtney out before she goes away to college, because like she's the best thing you're ever gonna have," or something like that. So that's kind of like the last impression that we get on their relationship. Obviously, we get like little looks here and there between them throughout the season 4. But like it's only number 4 on the list because there's not really a relationship. We know that eventually they're going to get together, and if there was ever happened to be a season 5, we know that they would probably be together, but we don't know, like, it's not ever on screen officially that they're a couple. So we just have all these little crumbs to put together, and all the other relationships 1 through 3 are actual solidified relationships. So that's why number 4 is Jet and E. I know, Ahmed, I'm sorry, I had to do it. Number 3, now I just made Ahmed mad, now I'm going to make Lily mad. Number 3 on the list is going to be Seblos. Carlos and Seb, they're the perfect couple, basically. They are, except for, I mean, we'll get to season 4 in a second. They are pretty much the perfect couple for 3 seasons. And then it gets weird. But it's obviously a historic moment for Disney as a company because it's a openly gay relationship and they actually kiss on camera, which is, for Disney, a pretty historic moment, a pretty milestone level moment. I know that they had a couple of gay characters in some of their Disney TV shows, but I never watched those, so I don't know if they ever had like a relationship where they kissed on camera. I don't know. There might have been just like some typical Disney hugging, but I don't know for sure if there was ever any kissing. I apologize if there was, but I know for a fact that Seb and Carlos kissed on camera multiple times. So it was a historic thing for Disney as a company. And it was just a great relationship. Both of them were made for each other because they're total opposites, which is opposites attract. It's the classic thing. It's the classic saying. Seb is the quiet farm boy type who doesn't have to say much because he's got Carlos, who is the outwardly expressive, he'll say what's on his mind kind of person. He's an extrovert, and Seb is the introvert. That's why the relationship works. And so they have each other, they work for each other, and they're pretty perfect together until we get to season 4 with the most random, out of place cheating storyline I've ever seen in a Disney show or in really any show. So we get the start of the season where Seb is mad at Carlos because we presume that Carlos cheated during the summer camp, but we know that Carlos didn't. Even though he looked really suspicious when he walked out of the bunk with the random guy from season 4, and like why did he act so weird when he came out of the room? I don't know. He made himself look too suspicious. But we know that he actually didn't cheat. So Carlos gets left off the hook. But then it's revealed that Seb cheats on Carlos. Of all the relationships, why would you have Seb cheat on Carlos? And then of all people, he cheats with Big Red? It's so mind-bogglingly confusing. Mind-boggling? Confusing? Whatever. You know what I'm saying. It's so confusing and so random for them to have Seb cheat. Seb is, maybe that's why they did it, because he's the most wholesome, unsuspecting person you would ever think to cheat. Maybe that's why they did it. Because they knew it would get this reaction from a lot of the fans. Like, it would be shocking. It would, like, when I first saw it, what you guys saw when I reacted to it in the episode, the Halloween episode, when they did that, when Seb came up and told him that he cheated, you could see my reaction. It was genuine shock, because I would never have suspected Seb to be the one to cheat. If anybody, I would have expected Mike Bowen to be the one that cheats, or somebody like that. Like, if you were going to do a cheating storyline, why pick Seb? But I guess that's why they did it, because you would never expect him to do it, so he's the perfect candidate to be the one to cheat. So, I don't know, it feels a little weird. It felt kind of forced, like forced drama, because you needed some drama for other characters other than Ricky and Gina. And I don't know, it just didn't really, it doesn't sit well with me even now, but Carlos does forgive him, and they make up, and they're back together by the end of the season, which is perfect. They never needed to have this speed bump in the first place, but they get over it, and Lily, you need to get over it too. So that is number 3 on the list. Number 2, I think you guys know what the last 2 ships are, so it's not really a surprise at this point, but number 2 is going to be Madeline. Maddox and Ashlyn, they are the perfect couple. Other than, we'll get to in a second. But they are a perfect couple for each other, because they're almost like the same person, which is kind of weird, but they, I don't know, it's a weird connection that they have. It's a beautiful connection that they have, but it's a weird connection that they have because they're almost too perfect for each other if you think about it. And it's hard to explain because they're just like, we got this whole new experience and new information about Ashlyn. We knew that Maddox was bi, or at least she liked girls because she dated JoJo, Madison. Or was it Madison? Yeah, I think that was her name in the show. I'm just going to call her JoJo. That's easier. So she was dating JoJo, so we knew that from the start. But then Ashlyn has the whole revelation that she likes women because she hugs Val and that like has the fireworks moment for her, and then she transitions that to liking Maddox in season 4, and it kind of feels almost too perfect, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. It's a great relationship. We know that they're pretty much a top 2 relationship. That's why I have them at number 2. Number 1, I mean, could I have put any other relationship at number 1? No. There is no relationship that could have been better than this one. Number 1 is Rena. It's Ricky and Gina. I mean, what other relationship could I have put here? Nothing. I couldn't put Madeline over them. I couldn't put Seblos or Jetney or Genzara. I couldn't put any of those above. This is the quintessential relationship of High School Musical, the musical, the series. It starts in season 1 with the homecoming episode. And then in Big Red's car, in her driveway, in the homecoming episode. And then we get the whole Ricky singing the ballad to her, and she's all in. And then we get her leaving, and Ricky's all beat up about it. And the fact that on the Thanksgiving episode, when Gina gets the news that she has to move, and Ricky says, "I'll text you," and she says, "I wouldn't bother doing that anymore. There's no reason to do that anymore." The fact that she says anymore means that they must have been texting a lot in the time previous. So, like, they leave all these little nuggets for you. And Tim Federle, the director of the series, said in an article or an interview, he said that once he saw the homecoming episode in the car, the scene in the car, he said that was the moment that changed from it being a Ricky and Nene story to being a Ricky and Gina story. It started that moment, and then everything else leads up to that. And we can talk about season 2 Ricky, because I've got my feelings about season 2 Ricky. He is a douche. But it works out in the end, because then we get season 3 Ricky, which is maybe my favorite Ricky. He is top tier in every single category in season 3. I love season 3 Ricky. They redeemed him so well. And then season 4, we get the actual relationship, and we get the duets. We get Maybe This Time, which is just fantastic when they flash back to all their important scenes, like in the car and Homecoming, at Ricky's apartment on Valentine's Day, and then they flash back to what was the third one? They flash back to oh my god, I'm blanking on what they flash back to. They flash back to Homecoming, they flash back to Valentine's Day. What's the other one that they flash back to? I need to rewatch the episode. Oh my god, I'm blanking on what they flash back to. I'm guaranteed that I'm going to remember it after I get done recording this. I'm going to be super upset. But whatever. Then we get that moment. Then we get Puppy Love. We get, obviously, the final song where he confesses his love to her. And then she pulls out the hat, and it says that she loved her, or that she loved him from the moment she knitted him the hat. Like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? You're gonna do that to me? You're gonna spring that on me after you just given me this unbelievable song about love you forever, and then the fact that you're gonna just nonchalantly just drop this nuke on me that she had written that in the stitching on the tag thing of her hat that she gave him all the way back in season 1 on Thanksgiving? You're just gonna give that to me and expect me to be completely fine about it? Are you serious? Like, how do you expect me to react to that other than to my mind to melt? Like, what are you talking about? That's just disrespectful to give me that information and expect me to be okay with it. It's the relationship. It's what the series is built on, and it is the everlasting relationship of the entirety of the universe that they live in. If they were ever to do a spin-off with just Ricky and Gina, I would be totally fine with that. If you want to, I don't know, send Gina to New York because she's doing some movie in New York, and then Ricky's going to school. Maybe he's teaching music or something on the side, and they're just in an apartment in New York, and they're just together, and they're living their lives. That would be amazing. And then you get little cameos from Big Red and from Ashlyn and from Courtney and everybody. The Jet even has cameo. Like, you get the guys to come back so that it feels like a High School Musical series, but you just have Ricky and Gina. It doesn't even have to be New York. That's just the first thing that, because Juilliard is in New York, so it doesn't have to be New York. It could be California. It could be Chicago. Wherever it is, it doesn't matter the location. But you just have them in a little apartment, and they're just living their lives, trying to figure it out as adults and not as teenagers anymore. So I think that would be pretty fun, but they're probably never going to do that. So that is my top 10 ships. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know there's going to be a little bit of controversy because of whatever I ranked maybe a little bit higher than it should. Maybe I shouldn't have had something on here in the first place. I know there's going to be a little bit of pushback, but that's okay. That's the whole point of having a tier list, of having a top 10 list. It's for arguments to happen. It's for conversations to happen. It's for communication. You guys can tell me your guys' list. If you agreed with me, if you disagreed with me, it's totally fine if you did disagree with me. I know that Ahmed's going to disagree with me. I know that Lily is going to disagree with me. She's going to say that Seblos shouldn't even have been on the list because Seb is the worst character of all time, in her opinion. It is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this has been a super long video, my longest top 10 list, but I wanted to give a little bit more in-depth conversations and reasons why I ranked the relationship where I did. So that took a little bit longer. I spent maybe a little bit more time on certain relationships than others, but it is what it is. That's going to do it for me, though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, leave your list down below, leave your thoughts down below on what you thought of my ranking, my top 10 ranking. If you would have added any other relationships that maybe I didn't mention in either the honorable mentions or the actual list, leave them down below as well. I'd be happy to read all your comments. I love all your guys' comments. You guys are amazing. I've got the best community in the world. You guys are just the best. I love reading all your comments, whether it's on Percy Jackson videos or on Never Have I Ever videos or on these top 10 video, whatever it may be. I love you guys' comments, and I love learning new things from you guys that I didn't know already. So if you want to leave any comments, feel free. You don't have to, but if you want to leave any comments, feel free. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I truly, truly appreciate it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.